oh, have we got a treat for you today. 1990s access to a Premier League goalkeeper, the likes of which these days it's impossible to get. But it's one, I have to be honest, as they would always say on Blue Peter. Do you remember that?
Yes, I remember Blue Peter.
It's one we made earlier. We've been in the back garden with Alex McCarthy and family, and it's so much fun. Please, whatever else you do not miss today.
No, there's no sticky back plastic, that's all I would say.
No.
That's the only difference.
Ramadan Mubarak to those of you celebrating all over the world.
Yeah. Ramadan Kareem from me too.
35 years ago today, went down in infamy in Bayern Munich's history and became the most famous night of them all in Everton's. What happened?
Wow, is it 35 years?
35 years ago today.
Wow. Yeah, we played Bayern Munich, Everton did in the second leg of the Cup Winners' Cup semi-final at Goodison. And it was a night, well, I'll never forget. Anyone who was there will never forget. Any Evertonian who wasn't there but saw the game will never forget. It's often put out as the greatest ever night in Goodison's history, and I'm not going to argue with that. It was the greatest night in my football career. I think all the guys that played
better than the nights you won, afternoons indeed, that you won finals.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, if you're from a generation that we left you floundering because you can't remember it, have a look on YouTube or go and watch the film Howard's Way, which is fantastic.
Yes.
Last question on this. Footballers' feet, are they different? Just hold on. Don't go away. Stay right there. This is something I noticed earlier. I have never seen a wider shoe in my life than that.
I've got wide feet.
Look.
I know.
That's extraordinary.
What's wrong with that?
It's as wide as it is long.
No, not quite. But listen, think about it. The reality is...
I knew there'd be a reason.
The reality is, the wider the surface, the easier to control the football.
And so your excuse then was what?
For miscontrolling?
Yes.
I wasn't very good. I wasn't very good, that's
That was
fine.
extraordinary when I walked in and saw that this morning.
You haven't noticed that before?
I've always said that.
My kids always say that about me. I hope I don't get your feet, Dad, because my feet were so wide. All the kids are playing, please, we just want nice, dainty, narrow feet.
Right, from the newspapers, and as we always say, accurate at the time of going to press, this is a programme that we record in Andy's lounge. We've come to call it the Grey Lounge, I think, which is
I quite like that.
Yeah, it's quite nice. Premier League clubs are still in talks about cancelling the season, according to Mail Online yesterday, despite agreeing to finish it. And David Moyes is one of those that's been voicing concerns, Andy. He says you just get to a point, surely, where you say, why are we doing this? And we're not there yet. Meanwhile, in Germany, they are intending to go back to work, and they've come up with the numbers required to get matches on. They've split the numbers required into 3 different zones. One applies to the pitch and its surroundings, including the players' tunnel, dressing rooms, drug and medical testing rooms. Zone 2 relates to the rest of the stadium itself, taking in areas for club and league officials and dignitaries, the media and matchday control rooms, and Zone 3 covers the TV compound and the immediate area outside the stadium. Here we are, Zone 1. Total number of people required 99, including 15 VAR technicians. I would suggest to you there's 15 that you could save there straight away.
Straight away. But, as you say, you can't play 3/4 of the season with VAR and 1/4 of it without.
Zone 2, 115 required. 115. Zone 3, 109, including 37 VAR and TV technicians. Well, again, you can make VAR savings there, I would have thought. Incidentally, in England, Premier League officials, referees and linesmen have been sent on holiday for 3 weeks. They will not be reporting back for duty until May the 11th, which if you then add in 3-week pre-season, if we got the green light, you're then at the back end of May, and then you're chasing everything to be finished inside a month.
I think you do it. Honestly, Richard, from day one, you know what I've been like. I think they have the window of Europa, the Euros, from mid-June to mid-July.
That's your bookmark next year.
That's for me is a bookmark. That has to be done by then. If it isn't done for mid-July, well, I would say 3rd week in July would be the latest call-off point for me. Then I think we have to forget about this season. We don't know what you do with the trophies. I still haven't. worked that one out yet, what they do. I think more, I read about this, and you read more papers than I do, but it seems to me that null and void is becoming less of an option.
No, I think null and void is still an option, but I think...
Less of an option?
No, I think null and void is an option only at a governmental instruction, which is something we talked about all the way along the line. I think football as an entity will continue to try until somebody somewhere says, outside of the game, but in authority, that's it, enough. And I think that then means there are no legal challenges, and because it's come from, but in the meantime, UEFA are saying the season could be completed by one match playoff system, which I think that's worse than calling it off.
Hold on. So Liverpool are 25 points ahead.
No, I think no, I don't think there would be anybody question whether they take the title or not. But elsewhere, for fourth and fifth, and for those teams at the bottom trying to stay afloat.
No, I'm not. I don't agree with that.
No, I don't.
I don't agree with that at all.
Willian apparently in negotiations with Liverpool about a shock-free transfer at the end of the season, which he's allowed to do, and he will stop work at Chelsea on June the 30th, as will Jan Vertonghen at Tottenham, and he says the current coronavirus crisis and the financial meltdown is going to help him get a better mood than he did. It probably is, but I just wish he hadn't said it.
I noticed there's one Dutch player has been touted with a move because they're stopping the Dutch season, aren't they?
Yes, I think so. I think the Belgians have stopped us.
They said stop, so there's one of the Dutch players I know has already got his move lined up to come to the Premier League, but has been told by the Premier League, if by the 30th of June we're playing again, even though you're available for your new club after the 30th of June, you will not be allowed to play in any Premier League match that's 19,
so you're cup-tied in effect.
Yeah,
some good. In fact, this is great news, and amongst all the miserable news that we've been absorbing of late, Dominic Matteo, the former Liverpool and Leeds defender who'd been suffering with a brain tumour, tweeted yesterday, "I've had the all clear." A lot of us were aware of Dominic's problems, and it's absolutely
fantastic news,
terrific news to see the fact that he's got the all clear. Premier League have got a new chairman.
You know him?
I know him very well.
He's a friend of yours,
isn't he? He's a very good friend of mine.
I mean, I know him, but you really know him.
Gary Hoffman.
Yeah.
Coventry City fan.
A good lad?
Brilliant. Absolutely.
Fit for the job?
Brilliant, yes. 100%. Football man to the core. I have stood on the terraces at Gillingham with him when Richard Shaw scored. I was there. We were both there. He's tried to buy the club on a couple of occasions. For me, you couldn't get a better man.
Okay.
But there's a little issue which I think he and the Premier League have to overcome, and that surrounds the standoff at the moment between Premier League, Saudi Arabia, Newcastle, and beIN Sports, because Gary was previously, and he did a very, very good job of it, resurrecting Northern Rock, the building society that went bust in 2008. He was chief exec. Northern Rock based in...
Newcastle?
Northern Rock, who used to sponsor...
Newcastle?
Gary, who used to live in and around...
Newcastle?
Now, I'm not saying for a minute that in any way his decision, were he to be part of the process, would be swayed by previous relationships. I just think it's a conflict of interest that he will want to distance from. And I find the timing of the announcement extraordinary, because there's always going to be somebody like me that's going to remember that Gary had previously been occupied elsewhere.
But you're confident he'll do a good job? Good appointment?
In general, I think it's a fantastic appointment. Okay. I think he's a really good guy.
That can only be good for the Premier League, because there's been much indecision there since Scudamore left his position, because he was two jobs, wasn't he?
Yes, he did.
He took on both.
Yeah, Richard Masters.
Now they've decided that they will get Masters would be one, and obviously your mate Gary Hoffman's going to do the other. So that's better. They've got some stability in there and some experience.
Gary is a little. Well, he's another version of Mark Palios, another friend of ours. Mark, who was involved in finance all of his life, still is, and a football man. Mark had played. Gary is just football to the core. Absolute nut. He's the guy that actually, this is true, just remembered, he bought a season ticket for his son Nathan before he was born.
For what club?
For Cupwell. Before he was born. He went, so name, and he said, well, I don't know yet. Well, how old is the child? Well, he's not born yet, but he bought a season ticket, which is great.
Good lad.
The beautiful game needs to reboot. This is the football manager, Mark Warburton of Queen's Park Rangers. He's saying, Andy, and I think a lot of people agree with him, wages, too much for too many clubs. Financial landscape has changed. He says deferrals are not the answer. We must discuss pay cuts. And if football acts in unity, we might just be able to sort the game out going forward. Agreed.
Do you know what I'm really fascinated about, Richard? Because we're sitting here and everybody, yourself, myself, most people included, are saying this is a watershed for football. This is for 20 plus years, nearly 30 years, this game has been boom, 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 without bust, which is very unusual in any industry, to go that length of time and nothing but good stuff happen to it.
Agreed.
I just wonder though, when we come through the other end, and we will, when we come through that other side and everything settles and everyone is back to nearly some sort of normality, whether it won't change a thing. The players will still be getting fortunes to play
Well, it's
football.
interesting you say that.
And that's the one thing that I think might happen in it. And
we have previously discussed it. I have said to you, I think the bubble's burst.
Yeah.
I hope the bubble has burst, because I do genuinely think there is a reset required.
right, I agree.
I think the time has come for us all to take a big breath, stop.
Yeah.
And as Mark Warburton said, if we act in unity, and that's not just the Premier League, that's football in general, at a professional level and at the grassroots.
When have we ever acted in unity?
And then around Europe. I'll tell you when we acted in
Go
unity, and I talked to you about it yesterday.
Go on.
When you left Villa for Wolves for 1.5 plus million, that fee would not have been paid by any club outside of England,
No.
because there was a European agreement in place at the time that
500,000.
players would only move for £500,000. So there's an
No,
example.
but that wasn't unity.
Well,
England were doing the opposite.
Yes, but there is an example of, if you want to, you can. England should have joined at that point, the rest. Keegan left Liverpool for Hamburg for 500. Dalglish from Celtic to Liverpool for the same sort of money. But I remember you saying at the time, this fee could stand forever because, well, no, at the time, it was good sense, because the rest of Europe said, we refuse to go over £500,000.
Well, okay, here's one for you. Here's a forever hypothetical situation as we, this time, let's say, wind it forward 12 months, coming up to the end of next season, right?
Excuse me, I made tea earlier. I can't just sit and watch it.
Kylian Mbappe, right? So the clubs have said, well, all right, we're only going to pay X amount for Kylian Mbappe. We're only going to pay that amount. That'd be the biggest wage you can get. Do you think clubs will all go, okay then, we'll all agree to do that? Somebody's going to say, hold on a minute, we really want him.
Sometimes,
and I'm prepared to pay even more.
I think we've been working together for too long, because you read my mind sometimes. It's like the old, I remember a Granada Television many years ago doing a little piece with Toshak and Keegan. How empathetic were they with each other?
Yeah, I remember.
And they were each given a set of cards. And Tosh was brilliant, because Tosh was working out what it was that Kevin was looking at without seeing it. Later to reveal that he could see in the glasses Kevin was wearing.
Well done, Tosh.
But this item here by Mark Owen, another mate, I grew up with Mark in the business, he refers back to a subject we talked about 7-10 days ago. Premier League clubs, this is the headline, have no shame. They'll plead poverty now and then go and spend millions on new transfers. That's right, they will, and without shame, Andy. I mean, Chelsea are seeking to shave 10% off their annual wage bill and are being linked with a £75 million bid for Philippe Coutinho. Well, that just doesn't work for me.
Well, there you go. This is what I'm saying. I think it should reboot. I think it needs to take a good, long, hard look at itself as a business model. If we're seeing a month into this lockdown, clubs that are supposed to be worth millions and millions pleading poverty and asking for players to take pay cuts, then surely their businesses have been run wrongly.
Yes.
And not in the right way. What worries me is that we'll go back, Richard, and in a year's time, these ridiculous sums of money, and even the footballers, listen, I wish I was one now, right? Don't get me wrong here. This is not bitterness or anything like that. I wish I'd been playing now and was earning the kind of money these guys do. Great, and they've been so lucky. The luckiest players in the footballing world have been the ones that played in the last 25 years.
Have they had as much fun as you both did?
They would probably tell you yes. I think it was different. But I do think that, when I speak to a lot of the players that played in the Premier League, they've loved their careers, and yes, they had a lot of fun playing there. And they've had massive benefits and great rewards.
Couldn't go for a night out though, could they?
No, they can't go for a night out very often, but that's the modern life we live in. That maybe is not as good. But I just think that, I just wonder, these guys, if they're going to accept when you come out of a contract or it's coming to the end of it, and the club you're with say, well, we can't pay you that now, so we're going to take 100,000 off your wages and pay you that, and you're a good player, somebody's going to say, well, in that case, I'll give you an extra 50 grand.
Of course, that's why you require the unity. That's why you have to have an agreement that in general you're not going to poach and that you're not going to undermine in that way. The problem that football has is that's a culture. That's a cultural problem that we've had for years.
Surely it needs to be a FIFA directive or a FIFA law. It has to be made at the top end to say that.
You know, I've always had problems with this, Andy, and it's the same. I mentioned it again. Well, with academies. Mm-hmm. You know, you want a good young player that's supposed to play within 25 miles of your football club. What do? You pick everybody up, family, player and all, and you move them into the area in which you're supposed to play. That's not how Howard Wilkinson described it. Anyway, we move on. Two other things. Coming up, interview with John Terry. You honestly will not want to miss that. What was going through his mind is extraordinary as he stepped up to take a penalty in Moscow. And I won't share that with you now, but you will want to hear from John himself as to what it was.
When's that on?
Next Thursday.
Next Thursday. Excellent. I look forward to that.
Former Manchester United manager next Tuesday. In the meantime, let's go and join Family McCarthy. And as I said earlier, this is one that we made earlier. So we did promise earlier in the week that we would join Southampton and England's number one in his garden as he faced mechanical shots from Mrs. McCarthy.
Well, it's something we hadn't come across, wasn't it? We'd been listening to the lads all saying we're doing little bits of work in the garden, exercises on the bikes, all this. Alex suddenly come up with this idea that he has, or things that he does, where he's actually got a ball feeder.
Yes. Alex joins us now, as you can see. By the way, Alex, beautifully manicured garden. That's lovely.
I can't take much credit for that. I'm a really good gardener.
What's she called? Mrs. McCarthy by any chance?
No, she doesn't do it either. She's got too much on her hands with the kids.
Oh yeah, I know a man who can. That's a good philosophy.
Well, so far this morning she's helped us technically make this possible.
Yeah.
And mechanically, I hope, in charge of delivery. So what have we got there and what have you been doing? Show us around.
So this is obviously the ball launcher machine here. It's literally two controls where you can have, where you can change the speed of the balls that come out. You can have knuckle balls. It does all sorts of things. You can twist it around, but mainly I just use it as it is like now, so it just comes out straight. Obviously, it gets really technical if you start using a knuckle ball and that. I'm not 100% sure with the machine how to use that, but it does pretty much everything. It's really good.
What kind of speed did it get out of that, Alex? What comes out of there? What kind of speed?
It goes up to 100 mile an hour.
What?
Excellent. So what's it set on this morning? The faster the better for us, and the more difficult, to be honest with you.
At the moment it's on 50, but I'll crank it up as we get going.
I think so, yeah. I think that's probably going to be more fun from our point of view.
Now, and I'm looking behind you there as well. So you've got the cones down for the goals. So how far away are you from the machine?
I'm about 8 yards there.
Is that all? Well, that's pretty good if it's coming out 50 mile an hour plus from 8 yards. It's not bad.
We haven't yet properly met.
Stepping back after the first.
we haven't properly met Mrs. McCarthy, Alex. Can you introduce us? Where is she?
I'll bring her in now. She's with the little one. Come on, come over here. This is Rachel.
Hi, Rachel.
Hi, Rachel.
Thanks for helping us out this morning.
Hi, everybody.
Lovely to see. That's Rachel, and who is that?
Bailey, my daughter.
Hey, Bailey, how are you?
She's 2.5.
Brilliant. Go and push the button and cause Daddy some aggravation. Right, let's get this going, Alex. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, go.
I'll do a round. I'll do a round of balls and then I'll come back.
Perfect.
Okay. Do you want to commentate?
Well, just see what's happening here. I mean,
what a hit, son.
I don't know. Yeah.
What a hit. You beauty.
Isn't that, apart from a tennis player using one of those tennis machines, I've never seen this before. Never seen it. Oh, wow. I said to you, it comes out quick. Wow. Wow, that is fantastic.
Go up a bit, it's come out a bit low.
It does, you're right. I would prefer, to be honest with you, bottom corner left and right and cause him some aggravation.
Yeah. Here he goes.
Now it is moving.
And now it is flying a bit.
Now we know why goalkeepers don't catch footballs.
Go on, Bailey. That's it. Put it in there. The little one's feeding them in. That is coming out quick, isn't it?
Flies,
You do not realise how that is. Wow.
That flies,
You know,
Alex.
the hardest thing with it, is if all the balls aren't the same, like PSI, some come out a bit flatter, some come out a bit higher. So it's difficult.
Honestly, it makes that much of a difference, does it? I mean, we asked the question the other day why keepers don't handle balls so much or catch balls these days, and that's the reason.
Yeah, well, with this machine, it definitely is. Obviously, I've got a few balls that are pumped up harder than others, and the ones that are a bit flatter sort of come out lower, whereas the other ones sort of stay a true level.
What if we wanted to see you go left and right corner? Will it cause you that much aggravation if we reset it? Get you down on your knees. Send it into the corners.
Do you want to see that?
Yes, I do. Very much so.
We just want to see it. We want to see it angled away from you just a fraction, Alex, to get you off your feet.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You see, we know he can catch it.
I'll just move. I'll move the cones over a bit so I don't have to keep.
Yes, good idea.
Excellent. I wondered when that.
I was going to
occur to him.
suggest that. Yeah.
I was going to suggest that.
I was going to suggest that. That's funny, but it's coming. I mean, you say 50 miles an hour and you think, well, it's not bad. But when you see it's only 8 yards,
It's a blink of an eye
it's
between
still a
leaving
blink
that
of an eye.
machine
Yes,
and arriving with him.
and it's no wonder that at times like that you have a little bit more sympathy about them not catching those.
Have you?
Those. There we go. He's setting
Because
up
you
now.
never have. Let's have a look at this. Go on, bottom corner.
It's a great little workout for him, isn't it?
Isn't it just? Come on, Bailey. Thank you.
Yeah, Rachel's got it.
Here we go again.
There we go. The little one's got it. Wiping the balls. Look. And you go. Oh! That's fantastic, isn't it?
It's brilliant.
That is sensational. That's sensational.
You see, he's edging.
He's
across
edging now. He's edging now. He's edging.
He's taking a step. Look, here we go.
That's more like it. Bailey's enjoying it better, isn't she? The little one's loving it. Brilliant.
Alex, that's fabulous. That really is.
Now that's better. That was more of a test, big man. That was more of a test for you. That Bailey was. Your little one was loving that, wasn't it?
I noticed you just.
push the ball out and they're delaying it. And I'm like.
I noticed you just look at your elbow. We haven't inflicted an injury, have we?
No, you haven't. I'm totally fine.
Good lad.
Do
Excellent.
you use these at work, Alex? Do they have these at the training ground?
I've never used one at work before, but obviously since the club have given me this, they've asked me to bring it back afterwards, and they bought 3, so they'll give one
fantastic.
to the first team. I don't know how much we'll use it. One to the women's team, and then one to the younger boys.
Yeah. Excellent.
Well,
Well,
look,
I tell you what, it's fantastic. It's the first time I've seen it, Alex, in football. And I think it's, for where you are now, for what you've got to cope with and what you've got to do, it's absolutely terrific. What would you do, spend half an hour there?
Yeah, I'll do half an hour, do a bit of footwork, and then obviously loads of different hand drills with it, just to keep your hand and eye coordination going.
Brilliant.
Well, I always say this to people that have gone out of their way to join us and helped us, Alex. Thank you so much for letting us join in this morning. It's been an absolute pleasure. Garden, I repeat, looks beautiful. It's a gorgeous morning. Get back to work.
The bad news for you, Bailey's ready with another set of balls behind you. Look, she's ready to go again.
I'll be out here all morning.
And thank you, Rachel. Thank you very
Rachel,
much.
Yeah.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks, family McCarthy. Thanks, Alex.
Thanks, Alex.
We'll be back in touch. Great to
Thanks.
talk.
Brilliant.
See you later, guys. Thanks.
See you later, guys.
Cheers. Honestly, that is unique. I mean, that is a real throwback, as I said at the top of the show, Andy, to a time when you actually could meet footballers and have a chat and stage things like that. They're so well protected these days. Alex did say afterwards, make sure you cut the ones out I dropped. Well,
Sorry, Alex.
we would have loved to have done that, Alex, but obviously there were technical issues. That,
Well, no,
meant
see,
that
we're in
it was not
lockdown like
possible.
you, Alex, and see, we don't have enough staff to actually edit it
Exactly.
properly. So, unfortunately, big man, thank you for your help and support. It was brilliant, but the fact that Bailey knocked a few past you, it has to stay in.
Yeah, I don't think it would be appreciated for what it was by the rest of his playing colleagues, unless that were the case. But honestly, can't thank Alex and Rachel and
Interesting.
Bailey enough.
But interesting to hear him when you asked, have you worked with a machine like that before? And he said never. But the club have bought 3. Right? Now, I've never seen that. You know, I've been in football a long time. I've never seen that machine used for goalkeepers like that. So I think it's so easy, and you don't need to then get loads of kids over,
That's
and you don't need to do anything. You just get the coach or anybody. You feed the balls in.
And by the way, the ball's going where it's supposed to, rather than off the wide foot that you used to hit it with, and it's a clean strike, and it's more helpful to him, I would have thought.
Well, as he said, he can get a knuckleball, which I'm guessing meant you can play it lower,
Yeah.
so it comes off the ground and you can parry it away and whatever. But it looked a fantastic piece of kit. Absolutely perfect for a goalkeeper in lockdown to be able to get out there in the afternoon or in the morning, half an hour with the family, and it doesn't need a coach. You don't need other players. You just need a member of your family, which your wife or your children, feeding the balls in. You just make yourself available and have a good half hour. That would get his heart and lungs going as well, up and down.
Football not back anytime soon. In the meantime, we will be here 5 times a week at the same times you found us today on beIN Sports around the world, and for our international viewers on YouTube. Thank you for your thoughts and comments, those that are in the positive column. And 1 or 2 reminders again. Next Thursday, we'll be listening to John Terry on What is Chelsea Day at beIN Sports. And on Tuesday, don't miss when we are joined by a former manager of Manchester United. But we'll be back prior to all of that, of course, next Monday. In the meantime, as we always say,
Stay safe.
stay safe.